Hi, everybody. This is Tracia Bolin with Worthy, a fashion meetup with Runway to Life. And today we have the privilege of talking to Melissa Pocza. I hope I said that right, Melissa.
Yes.
Okay. And she's going to tell us a little bit about her story. And she's been involved with the pageant world, looks like for years. She's actually captured three of the big titles with the international, the America, and the United States. Those are the big three, of course, we all know in the pageant world. So that congratulations on that. But I'll let you tell some of your stories, and maybe you can just tell us about a little bit about yourself.
Okay. Well, grew up in the inner city of Detroit. And when I say inner city, I mean inner city. I grew up just north of 6 Mile and Gratiot. And, I always grew up underprivileged. I grew up with the help of Children's Alliance and Big Brothers Big Sisters. That's why they mean so much to me. And I've spent my pageant career giving back in my life since I was 17, giving back to them. I started the Sparkle World, needed a way to get to school. My thing was basketball, and basketball only paid so much. And so, I was half raised by my grandparents, and what grandma doesn't believe the world of their grand. So
Absolutely. We
she
love
got me
grandmas.
into my first pageant. I know, right? She got me into my first pageant, and I lost her right after.
Oh,
And I didn't know what I was doing. We didn't have any money. I think we got a borrowed dress from the resale shop for like $20 or $70, I think, probably max. The dress was like 7 inches too short because I was a giant. We didn't know what we were doing.
but
And
you just got to jump in there sometimes.
right, we just
As you
showed
go.
up and we did well. And then right after I lost my grandmother.
Oh,
And it just rocked my world. And then after that, I felt like it was like unfinished business that I left. Like I felt like I owed that, to her.
right.
And then it just, you get the bug. And every year, it was when I started competing, it was in the Miss Michigan USA system. And every year was owned by a modeling agency at the time, and then the agency that owns it still to this day took over in like during the time that I was competing with them, and it was a big deal. It
Mhm.
was 350 contestants.
Right.
Alan Thicke was our host. It was a huge deal.
Right.
It was on TV. We were police escorted. It was so cool.
Right.
Yeah, and so just the caliber of it was so amazing, and what an experience for a little old me. And every time that I placed in the top five against hundreds of women and girls, teens, I started my 1 year in teen, and then I went to the Miss division. Every year, I placed amongst hundreds, and I had no
Wow.
idea I didn't have a coach, I didn't have any guidance, I have no idea what I was doing,
Wow.
but
Good for
I placed.
you. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
but I
incredible.
placed.
Right.
And that placement meant scholarship money for me.
Oh, yes.
And so I was paying my way through school for it. And so 5 times in that placement paid for a lot for my pre-dental school. So,
Wonderful.
yeah,
That's
right.
awesome.
And then I had the bug, and then I won in 2002. And it opened up a world. My first event that I went to as Miss Michigan was it was the Michigan Sports Hall of Fame induction ceremony where they induct all the pro athletes. At the
Right.
time, Detroit just got word that I signed a contract to get Super Bowl. I forget what year it was, for years in advance, and they signed that contract, so they were celebrating that, and I got to hand out that award. And
Wonderful.
it was really cool. But the first contact I met, it kind of like snowballed. It led my door into the modeling world. So from there, it put me in the Detroit Auto Show, which I traveled all across the United States doing auto shows for, 5 or 6 years.
Wow.
And then it opened the doors into runway for me. Just like a snowball effect. And I always felt that that was my way out. Like I thought that that was my ticket out of my circumstance.
Hmm.
But little did I know it was forming who I am today, that I had that ticket all along.
Right.
Um,
Right.
and I didn't know I had a story. I did not know, those things that we go through, we really don't realize what we're going through. And so we have the power to treat it the right way and respect the road that we traveled, I feel.
Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
yeah, so that was my start. And then I kind of, I got married, had problem trying to get pregnant. My mom said, what you need is a distraction. Yeah, and it's like, those moms are always right. And
A good one, right?
I know.
A mate.
She said, "Well, we need this as a distraction." And I was like, "Yeah, no, mom, not really." So I was like, "What? No, get out of here." And then I would move to Texas, and I was in Texas at the time, and I competed at Texas America for the first time. And again, didn't know what I was doing. And just walked in there, and I'll never forget. And Texas is a whole nother ball game,
Oh,
sister.
yeah. Everything's big, right?
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, I walked in, these girls were getting abs sprayed backstage, and my girlfriend looked at me. She didn't even do my hair at the time. I just wanted her backstage because you're allowed somebody backstage. And I was like, "Hey, girl, come with me." She goes, "For what?" I'm like, "I don't know. Zip up, do something."
Support, right? Yeah.
And she looked at me. She goes, "Girl, if you want me to spray abs on you, I'm gonna hit you."
Oh my goodness.
We just had such a good time, and the sisterhood that develops as a missus is pretty phenomenal. And so, you just get that itch, and I placed in the top 5, and I was like, you know what, I'll come back knowing what I'm doing now. I had a baby in between, and like my mom was right, it worked, and I got back in the game, and I ended up winning in 2009. And then in 2011, I found out that there was other systems. That was
Yeah,
America.
right.
I
Right.
won Texas, United States, went to the United States and placed in that. Oh, there we go. I just lost your screen. And then little did I know, like I'd find out more, and then another challenge would come, and that's when I did international. So, and then that's when I hung up my heels. So it's like a whole 20-some year journey that was just crazy. But it was the best thing I got and learning so much about myself and getting so much more comfortable in my skin, was comfortable with my story, because I didn't realize, and I never shared any of it during my entire pageant career.
Well,
And
what is your story that you're talking about? And
well,
what?
child abuse awareness is my platform, and I always made it about like my nieces and nephews, and my family's rescued over 7 children from abuse and neglect.
Oh,
And really,
wow.
I mean, I grew up in the Children's Network with their guidance, and so it was pretty neat to marry into a family who saves kids like myself. So it was pretty
Absolutely.
pretty phenomenal. And so to this day, my kids and I still give back. I think that it's a way of life, and not just, it was never my platform. It was just what I was doing on the side. So it was still volunteer at the center. Mhm.
Right, right. So is that was your platform that you won through with every pageant? You carried the
No,
same
I
platform?
never really had a platform when we did United States. Back then, it wasn't, as a teen in the Miss, you really didn't have that. And now it's a whole, social media. Pageants are really not just a day event. It's a whole preparation and image that is out there before even your games even begin.
Right, right.
I
Yes.
feel it's just a totally different ball game now. But
Mhm.
in the Misses, I didn't really have a platform until America in 2009. And yes, it was child abuse awareness. Mhm.
Oh, wow. So you had been through child abuse yourself and grew up in that situation.
I've been with drug abuse, you name it.
Yeah,
You name
yeah.
it. But growing up through, in this inner city Detroit, I mean, that was just our way of life. I mean, we didn't know any better, and you don't really know your circumstances are any different from anybody else. It was kind of like, I remember when my son was going through all of his diagnosis for his special needs. The doctor told me, "Well, do you see this and do you see this?" I'm like thinking to myself, am I the worst mom in the world that like I don't know these things? Am I supposed to know these things? I told him, I said, I wouldn't know if we're lactose intolerant. I really wouldn't, because
Mhm.
I come from the family that sits there and cradles and conditions those signs and symptoms. We grim and bear it, and we move on. And
Mhm.
I think that's the greatest. You just deal with it and you go,
Right.
and you find ways around it. And I think that's what gave me my biggest grit, and my passion now is being raised that way. We never highlighted our faults. we tucked them into our belt and pulled our big girl panties on, and we just kept going.
So do you think that if like you were able just to kind of overcome that because you kind of just pushed through it and dealt with it, you think you just,
Absolutely.
yeah,
Absolutely. I think that when you don't really have a choice sometimes, I think we all do that. I think we all face things every day, whether it be we think it's minor or think it's massive, you know, whether it is, it's however we perceive it. And
right.
I'm a big firm believer is you can't control what happens to you, but you can control how you react to it.
Right.
And
That's good. That's good. Some good information. I know that Runway to Life, we like to get the conversation going on mental health awareness and suicide. You know, just talking about it, getting the word out there, and give some people some hope that maybe feel that way, that there is no more hope, and they don't feel like there is any more options. Some of them don't have that gird, you know, to just keep going. And so what would you say to those who just feel like they just don't feel like there's hope to go on? Do you have any words of encouragement to maybe let them look at it from a different perspective? Because
you know,
sometimes people lose a little hope, you know?
they do, they do. And I never really realized the impact. And like I feel myself that I'm very mentally strong, but you don't realize that not everybody has that option or that mindset. And I never realized that until I went to that Rachel. What's the girl that Girl Wash Your Face? Rachel. Um, oh my gosh, the author. She does all of the spokeswomen's
Oh,
and
girl, wash your face.
yes, yes.
Yeah.
My girlfriends and I all went to her conference, and
Yeah.
she did that whole. She does an exercise in there, and it's to stand up for your sister.
Hmm.
And it says, you know, stand up if you've been with it, and you don't understand until you're in an arena with like 20,000 girls that how many that by the time that she was done answering those questions, everyone in that stadium stood up, and everyone, you know, sat down to take a minute. But then she asked everybody at the end to stand up when you feel that you have something to see and witness, but stand up when you feel you have the urge to come move on. And you'd be surprised how many women had a very hard time standing back up.
Wow.
And my girlfriend and I looked at each other and we're like, what's going on? But you don't realize that just because you feel that you can just grim and bear it and move on, some people just can't.
They can't.
But in my mind, what gets me through every fall fail that I've ever been through, knowing that somebody else may always have it worse.
That's true.
You know, if somebody else may always, you know, even though like I'm having this moment or this, you never realized perception is everything. And if you look at it with just a different little outlook, it could totally change your mindset and attitude.
That's
Especially
true.
when it comes to children, you know, especially when it comes to children. You know, as adults, you think that we have it hard and sometimes we don't have a lot to move on. But think about a child.
Right. Especially all the stuff that they're going through today with being isolated a lot. Sometimes they kind of feel, you know, they're kind of blocked in. So it's
Yeah.
good that we have communication and talk about things, you know, so they can kind of get their feelings out there too, you know.
Yeah.
And
And it's damned if you do and damned if you don't, excuse my French, because these poor kids with, you know, I tell my son every day, like I would hate to grow up in their atmosphere right now because the social media, they're constantly connected. You know, I have a 12-year-old, my oldest is 12. And from the minute he gets home from school to the minute he goes to bed, he's connected with his friends and they're behind a screen. And sometimes, most of the time, 99% of the time, it's not always nice,
hmm.
you know, and
Yeah.
it's hard to be a kid these days. It's really hard to be a kid.
Yeah, and that's why I think when we bring this conversation together, make sure we're talking about it when they have those feelings or they have those things inside. If they can at least talk about it and share it, then maybe there's some kind of a plan that you can, you know, get some help and get somebody in there to maybe intervene or maybe try a different route that this isn't going the wrong direction fast, you know. So
Yeah.
that's kind of like what the Runway to Life is all about, to kind of intervene ahead of time. So
Yeah.
a
Did
good
you
thing.
know that during COVID, I was listening to a lot of advertisements during COVID. There's a helpline, a mental health
Yes.
line that you can call at any time. And I thought that was the greatest. I've never written down the number or anything, but I've heard it for just somebody to talk to, a biased person that you have no idea. The conversation's not held against you. at all.
Yes.
But I thought that was one of the coolest things that somebody's ever like created. I thought that was really neat, especially the times that we're in.
Yes, there's a 1-800 helpline that people can get a hold of anytime they feel like they want to talk to somebody or talk through stuff. And Runway to Life has all kind of resources. If anybody ever needs to reach out to them, just call the office and we can hook you up with the right people and get you connected to those things too. So
Yeah.
it's really great to hear that you've overcome so much with all the things that you've been through. You've had such great accomplishments and you've pressed through so much adversity with all the background and abuse. Sometimes we don't know that we are actually being abused because that's all you know when you grow up, right? It's like,
Yeah.
so
I volunteer at the Children's Advocacy Center, and I used to do the Happy Bear campaign for CAC. And it's crazy. I go into schools and teach them, what's a proper touch and what's not a proper touch. And, especially neglect, you'd be surprised at how many schools, the children don't even have a meal until they get there.
yes.
Don't have to. I was going to speak, and it was first thing in the morning. And there's this little guy, and it was a Head Start program, and he's walking to school. Head Start, they're not even in kindergarten yet.
Bless
And he's
his heart.
walking to school on his own.
Yeah.
It's a different world, and that's the whole thing is, perspective. You never know what you're going through might not be as hard as what somebody else might possibly be going through.
That is true. That is very true. So what does Melissa have in store for the future? What are your future plans with all the things that you're doing?
Vacation.
Vacation, of course.
Now, I am a workaholic, and I think the older I get, the worse it's gotten. No, I do all day, like my 9 to 5. I do property management. My husband and I and our family have a business investment program, and we have a lot of residential property, a lot of commercial property. That's what I do 9 to 5. And then I have my boutique in the evenings and on the weekends. And now we have an all-female staff of 5.
Wow, that's fantastic.
Yeah, I'm so excited. And we've got big plans coming up. We're actually right before our deliveries for all today, because Fridays is crazy here. They're all still here. They're taking photos now.
Okay.
We just approved building plans. So we're going to be getting, hopefully, if things go right, we're going to get a Mom Queen storefront. Finally, we just approved the plans for that. So we've always got so much going on. Yeah, it's really exciting. Really exciting. And I don't know if you've been on our lives. We do Facebook Lives every Thursday night. But somebody had asked me last Saturday, and that's when we were finally started promoting that, is a lot of, because of my background and because of, Queenville background, being in the sparkle world, I have a lot of pageant folk, girls that follow. And plus they like, they're the ones that like all the cute, clothes, and,
Right.
And so, but it's pretty cool. And I thought that somebody asked because there's so many boutiques out there. There's so many boutiques out there.
Right.
And I thought it was really cool is because we end our live with a quote from my book, an inspirational quote at the end of every live. And you'll be surprised how many girls stay on for that and can relate. We try to pick something that everybody can relate to at that time.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. And then I thought it was really cool is somebody said, what makes us different? And our community is what makes it different. I feel, because you've got girls talking and they're not there just to shop. We've got somebody from Maine communicating with somebody from Texas that's never even known each other. Like they've never even met. You got a girl, she's not even from the sparkle world, talking to a sparkle queen from across the world, and they're sipping wine shopping together from all the way across the United States. And it's the community that we've created, I think, is the coolest part.
What a great way to have a sisterhood come together and girls get to meet. We need that sisterhood, but it's very important. That's awesome. Your boutique is creating that, and that is just incredible. And how would everybody get a hold of you? If can you give them your information? Are you for your boutique, or your phone number, or are you on Facebook, Instagram?
Yeah, we're on Facebook and Instagram at Mom Queen Boutique, and then I have a public page at Mom Queen. And then we're also online, momqueenboutique.com. And then we have a Mom Queen mobile app. And you can chat with us, direct with us, and all the time.
Wonderful. Everybody hear that? Mom Queen app. You got to get on there and get in touch with Melissa and be part of the Sparkly World Sisterhood.
Right?
We got to connect.
It's so much fun. And I like it too, because a lot of sometimes in if you meet people at pageants, sometimes, it's hard. You're still competing,
Right,
so
right,
sometimes you're still trying to compete. So there's also, as much as you're acquaintances and friends and want to root on each other, you're still competing. Here,
right.
it's a non-competitive thing where you're like, hey, girl, that will look awesome on you. You should wear that to here. It's just, it's fun. It's
Right.
fun.
And when you're competing, you're like, yeah, girl, go ahead and wear that. No, no, you have a good heart. No,
Yeah.
no, it's good. No, you do
Right,
have, yeah,
yeah.
no, there is a whole bunch of love. And when you go there, it is like that. But you're right. You are there to compete and you do have friendships. But yes, you are in it. It's like a game. You're in it to win it. Obviously, you're going there to win it. You do want to develop the friendships, but you are there to win it, of course.
Right,
I understand.
right.
So, but that is awesome. I see your beautiful crown back there, the Mrs. International you won. That is gorgeous. Do you have all your crowns in the cases?
Yes.
Can we see them? Do you have them all on the wall or?
Yes, I got my PC though. Yeah, they're all
Oh,
on the
okay.
walls here.
You have to send us a picture so maybe we could post it on the Worthy page. That would be awesome.
Yeah, somebody asked, like, where do you get your cases? I'm like, girls, come on. Amazon, those are football helmet cases.
That looks sharp. I like it. I like how you put the pillow and the crown, and then you can see the banner. Yeah, because what do you do with all the crowns and banners, right? It's like
Yeah,
that.
and you hang them up. I've seen a lot of girls hang them up, but then they get dusty. And I really like to keep the. Plus, a lot of the events that I go to, I have to pull them out, which they're a bugger to get back in there.
Right,
But you have to pull them out, and you want them clean and not yellow when you
right.
wear them.
That's a great idea.
But
Yeah,
some of the banners I still have to, because going to support the system still to this day, they want you to bring your sash and crown or whatever. So you have to take them out. But yeah, I use those are the helmet cases, but like the America crowns and the state international crowns. The United States is now too big because they changed them. But the footballs, the Amazon and the sports, where you put
right,
football in,
right.
and then they come with a little cup in it, so it holds the crown just perfectly.
What a great idea. If
Yeah, I know, right?
pageant girls, or if you are listening to this is like a very good idea to keep all your
Yeah,
crowns in there. And then you just stack them on a shelf, right? All up on the shelf.
right.
Like
And then
all
dust proof.
100 of them, us pageant girls, right? Up on the shelf.
All right.
So that's awesome. Well, thank you for sharing that idea with the crowns on that. Is there anything else you want to share with us today while we're on here? I'm so thankful you came on and took a minute. I know from your busy day to have a little bit of chat with you today. We really appreciate it so much. So
Yeah, absolutely. If you guys need any help, we're always willing. Let me have your logo and we'll share it too on our lives and on our pages today. Let me know when the links come out. And then, no, not really. We love what you're doing. We looked at what you guys are doing. We love it, love it, love it. So if there's anything you guys ever need from Mom Queen, we're always here to help.
I appreciate it so much. And thank you for being with us today. And everybody reach out to Melissa and be part, get on her app and be part of the Sparkly Sisterhood. So thank you. Thank you so much, Melissa. I appreciate it. Thanks for talking with us today. Take care.
Bye,
Bye.
guys. Have a good day.